Live from the heart. That's today's daily insight, folks. What's up, Secoya Nation? Dr. Shilling bringing you today's daily insights, and thought we'd slow down a bit and think about how do we live from the heart. Right, that's an interesting concept. For any one of us who's hyper intellectual, hyper mental, we live up here, it can be really challenging when you're being a parent, when you're running a business, when you're serving people, when you're doing your work, whatever that is. Living from the heart can be really challenging because it requires a certain intention in mind in order to be in that state. And it's really easy to get out of it because, for myself, coming down here, it requires effort because I've learned to navigate the whole world by living up here because I thought that was the most effective way, but I'm learning that there's a balance needed, as we all know, balance and everything. So what are some things you could do to live from the heart? What are some things you could do to access that heart energy rather than the intellectual energy? Get out of your mind a little bit and spend some more time in your heart. So, for example, ask yourself, what would love do? Right? If you were coming from a loving place, what would you do? What could you do? What would a person who's coming from love do in that situation? How would they react? How would they think? How would they process things? And that'll help you get out of your cognition, your thinking process, and down into your heart. I heard it said that you can never be in poverty if you're thinking about someone else, you can never be selfish if you're always thinking about somebody else, because that way, you'd want to give to them rather than worrying about what you're losing. So when you're being selfless, it's just really a lot easier. Another way to live in the moment from the heart is to surrender to the moment. And that's like accepting what's happening and what does that mean, and how are you going to then adapt that experience to your life, and how are you going to feel it? How are you not just going to think about it, but how are you going to feel it? Because that's super critical and super important. So how do you surrender to that moment and take what that moment has to offer you? Building on that is like, how are you here in the now? How are you in this moment? A lot of times people have a tendency to live thinking about the past and what they should have done then, or they're too busy thinking about the future, and then they end up not being in this moment, because this is really all we have, like this moment right here. Just put the kids down, getting ready to hunker down ourselves, and it's like, how are you living in this moment? How are you forgetting about what the past was because you took the lesson, you're moving on, but not living too far in the future because, then we're mortgaging our future. So be present in the moment. Having present time consciousness is really important in order to live from the heart. Another way to do it is to measure each day, if you will, or each moment by how well do I love? How well did I love today? How well did I show my heart? How well did I connect with people? How well did I be an inspiration to somebody else? How well did I serve someone else? So, measure each day from a different standpoint of not like how much did I get done in my productivity today, how much money did I make, how many things did I get accomplished, what did I build, what did I not build, but more like how well did I love my fellow human beings today? How well did I love my family, my friends, my coworkers, things like that. That's a great way to stay living in the heart and living in the moment. And I guess we'll close it up by saying, let's live in the heart by saying, let's let life change us, change you, transform you, mold you, and how do we grow and nurture ourselves from that standpoint, because we can always find ourselves in a suffering moment if we're looking for it, but if we can transform that suffering, I think Martin Luther King said something about transform the suffering into a creative force. Lord knows that man, he pretty much had anticipated his own death beforehand. I think he even said so in so many words without saying he was going to get killed, but in his last speech. But like, how do we transform suffering into a creative force? How do we make positive out of a negative? How do we find a silver lining in the cloud? That's really some ideas on how you can live from the heart. And these are just some things I came across and thought they were valuable, so I want to share them with you because I know myself, I struggle with living in the heart. I spend a lot of time thinking, more than I'd like to think about, and I'm working on living more in the heart. So I hope this can be transformational for you, and it can be an opportunity for you to live more in the heart maybe you can identify some ways that you live in the heart, and comment below, because I would love to learn from you. Everybody has the ability to teach someone else something. You're never too old to learn, never too young to teach. Doesn't matter what background you come from, what education level, doesn't matter. You have life wisdom that other people do not. So I would appreciate if you share your life wisdom with me. So post a comment below and say, how do you live from the heart? All right? So hope this has been great for you. Hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Staying warm out there, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys? Have a great night. Bye-bye.